Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 31 Media podcast. I'm Vaishnavi Nashte, and I'm the marketing and PR manager here at 31 Media. Today's podcast is in collaboration with the Digital Transformation Awards and the AI Summit and Awards that are coming up in 2025. These are two separate B2B events that are organized by 31 Media. So if you're interested in attending, speaking, or exhibiting your tech solutions at these events, please follow the link in the description to do so. Joining us today is Gonzalo, who is the CEO of HR Exchange. His article on our DevOps Online platform covers how companies can build a digital first culture in talent acquisition. You'll find the link to his article in the description below as well. Welcome to the 31 Media Podcast, Gonzalo. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Vaishnavi. Yeah, doing great, ready to go and connect with you and educate people that are watching this. So a pleasure to connect with you.
Amazing. Yeah, you're joining us from Miami, right? Like it's
Miami,
9 o'clock
Florida.
over there. Yeah, beautiful
Yes.
weather, isn't it?
Got my coffee, beautiful weather, the beaches not far, can't complain.
Yeah, perfect way to start the day. So before we actually get into it, could you help our audience understand a bit more about your background and your experience?
Sure, absolutely. I have 12 years in the staffing and executive search realm. And I started at a bigger company called Robert Half, then moved over to a smaller boutique firm. I became one of the number one producers nationwide. And then I figured, wow, I could do this myself. And so I took the plunge with my business partner and onto entrepreneurship. At first, it was much more of a lifestyle business, but then it became bigger and bigger, and we started developing it through data, technology and we've been able to expand. And so mainly we work with private equity and a lot of real estate investment trust companies that do development, construction, and manage their own assets. We're a nationwide company. I can say international too. We just made a placement in Canada, so
Nice.
we're expanding little by little and continuing to grow. So in staffing, they always say 1 year, and anybody that has been in staffing will tell you 1 year feels like dog years. So you get to see everything the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're dealing with people at the end of the day. So, but that's a quick little short background of my professional career.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. My first question to you is, what do you think are the core principles behind building a digital first company culture?
There's three key things that go into that. One of them is flexibility and adaptability. The other one is transparency and communication. And then also number three would be data-driven decision making. So in a digital first environment, we prioritize the ability to adapt quickly to new technologies and platforms. As you know, every single 6 months, it feels like there's a new system, there's a new software. AI is rapidly moving at a fast pace. If you really think about it, pre-pandemic, we weren't really talking about artificial intelligence. Today, we're seeing that that's much more of a thing. So the mindset is critical in talent acquisition because we need to reach candidates. So it's very important that we're flexible and we're adaptable as we move forward with platforms and technology. When it comes to transparency and communication, it's having a successful digital culture that can thrive in open communication. I know a lot of companies use, maybe your company uses Slack, for instance, where when you have a remote environment like us, we need to have an accountability system and also a platform where we have open communication and consistent dialogue, whether it's through Slack, Zoom, or other communication platforms. So it's very important to stay super connected, not only with your external clients, but what I like to call our internal clients, which are business partners and employees within the company. And then number three, it's what I've noticed is we like working with a lot of process improvement oriented companies, which we
Mhm.
are ourselves. So data-driven decision making for us is a very important thing, and it's putting platforms and systems that will allow us to make business decisions based on data as opposed to emotion. We in business, we tend to kind of balance both because we're human beings and we are emotional in a lot of ways. But what we're trying to do now is we're using metrics to track our success a little bit further and refine our engagement and streamlining our staffing processes as well too. So
Mhm.
that would basically be the three key factors to your question.
Okay, interesting. And how can companies ensure that whatever digital tools they're using, it actually enhances the candidate experience rather than making it feel impersonal, because obviously with AI into consideration, a lot of things
Yeah.
can be automated, can be like put into workflows or whatever, but there's always that touch, like a human touch required in talent acquisition. So in your experience, like how can companies make sure that they're enhancing the candidate experience?
The best way to enhance the main thing is you're right. What I have seen with AI, it's that things have become a little bit more robotic because of it. So
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do, at least as a staffing company, is you want to use it to your advantage, but you still want to have that personal touch. A lot of the bigger companies, like the one I worked for, the one I mentioned earlier, that got me into the industry, they tend to be a bit more transactional, and that's because they're bigger, they have more opportunities, and it just becomes a very transactional thing, and then people get turned off. So one of the things that we're doing to kind of safeguard that is by I don't know if you read a book called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. And that book talks about being unreasonable, right? Whether it's when we make
Mm-hmm.
a placement and writing a handwritten note and sending it over to the candidate, or calling the candidate consistently after placement so they don't feel like they were just a number. So we try to balance things out a little bit. We're trying not to be too robotic, but at the end of the day, the good thing about the staffing industry, at least what we do, it's a people first business anyway. And you have to consistently communicate and pick up the phone as well too. So that kind of safeguards us and gives us a little bit of that balance.
Okay, makes sense. And throughout your journey of being an entrepreneur and being in this business, what do you think are certain strategies that you might have implemented or suggested for fostering collaboration and maintaining a certain team culture in recruitment environment?
At least from an external standpoint, is it's we have for instance, every other week we have candidate update night where we are consistently calling candidates that we placed even a year ago, 2 years ago. Hey, how have you been? How are you doing? So we have like an internal accountability system that allows us to at least myself and my business partners to have that consistent communication, not only with candidates but also with clients, because a lot of the times too we end up neglecting our clients when we get too busy, or we have additional business coming in. We forget about the other ones that maybe worked with us a year ago, and then we haven't connected with them since. So we have a lot of, going back to your first question, we've put a lot of metrics and systems, and that are very data driven in order for us to kind of follow that pathway into just consistently being in touch with people.
Amazing, great. And like, how do you think the shift from digital first talent acquisition has affected the way companies are identifying and assessing soft skills in candidates?
Yeah, so the one way that I've seen a much more of an impactful transition in talent acquisition, it has been with companies just becoming more data driven. So back in the day, you would, or what, well, a couple of years ago, you would just you hire people based on emotion. Is the energy there? And that's still the case, but there's like a one of the things that I've implemented, which I like. It's called a personality index assessment. Have you ever taken one of those? It's called a PI.
I think so. I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, where you answer the same question in six different ways, and
Yeah.
it takes 10 to 15 minutes, and then it gives you the data such as, are you passive aggressive? Do you possess leadership qualities? Do you stress? Do you not stress? And that has actually streamlined the process a lot, and we've been able to be more successful in placing quality candidates, or the right candidates, I should say, to the right companies based off that data. Because a lot of
Yeah.
the times you'll interview somebody and you have a certain perspective, but then you see the data and then your perspective changes. So there's certain systems like that, or those tools like that, that have been in place that have really just made the process, I wouldn't say easier, but a lot more effective in terms of hiring. Like you tend to hire
Mhm.
better suited people for your culture, because one thing is the skill set. There's two different ways to look at it. There's the technical skill sets, and then there's the cultural
Yeah.
intangibles that come along with hiring as well too. I always say it's like dates. It's like a marriage, right? The
Mhm.
values, the foundations, the principles have to be very aligned between both parties in order for that to be a good healthy marriage, or in this case professional experience for the long term.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And also, you've mentioned data driven quite a lot. in your answers. Now I'm curious, like I'm going to dig deeper into it. But what
Yeah.
do you think? What role does data essentially play in a digital first recruitment process? And how can companies leverage analytics to make their hiring decisions even better?
So a lot of it would be personalization and engagement. Candidates appreciate a tailored experience. What I've noticed, again, not being super transactional. So one of the things that we're doing is we're leveraging AI and CRM systems to our advantage. And I see that companies are also doing the same thing too, to send a personalized communication at every
Hmm.
stage of the recruitment process, not just over the phone, but then also via email. So one of the things that I see companies do a lot better, the ones that are retaining talent and engaging, it's engaging people from the moment that they're in contact with the prospective employee all the way through until they get hired. A lot of it is just having that transparency and that communication. But again, it's creating that accountability system and metrics that are going to allow you to really make sure that you hire the right person by using data. And there's also the virtual experience. Like for instance, what we're doing right now is we've never met in person, right? But we are connecting via, the Zoom platform. And one of the things that I saw in the very beginning of the COVID era, back in 2020 when we started using Zoom and Teams, it's very informal, very impersonal. It's not the same as if you and I would have met in person as it is now. But we're getting better. We're getting a lot better with connecting with people and creating that emotion virtually, which has been a little bit tough. But I do see that we're getting, as a culture, we're getting better and used to these kind of platforms. So it's opening up a little bit more the conversation as opposed to before. It was a bit more it was weird. It was weird because we're so used to interacting and engaging with people in person.
Yeah.
So it's leveraging all these tools in order to collaborate and foster these collaborations and relationships for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that period of transition, isn't it? Like when it's like super
Mhm.
weird, and now I think people are just getting more accustomed to it and getting
For
more
sure.
creative with it. So my last question to you is more of like a practical insight into this world. Like, could you share some real world examples of companies that have, implemented digital first approach in their talent acquisition strategies? And what would you think our audience can take away? Like, what lessons they can take away from them?
Yeah, actually, I was going to tell you, I have seen a dwindling in various different departments because of AI and systems. So what happened, at least here in the US, after COVID, I don't know what happened. We had the Great Resignation. Have you heard of that? The Great Resignation, that little period of time
Resignation.
in 2022. Yeah, I don't know if
Uh,
you guys had it in the UK, but we had it here where people were resigning from their jobs. And it was
yeah.
just hard to find quality talent. I don't know if that was the case over there, but here it was. Did you guys have that same situation after COVID?
Um, I think so. Like, I think there was more of like a recession period rather than resignation one. So
Oh,
wouldn't know much about the resignation one.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, we had much more. We had a nice, robust economy about 2 years ago. Now we're starting to head into stagnation, potentially recession. But
Mm,
so what I saw companies do because we couldn't find good quality people is they said, okay, fine, we're going to invest more money into invest into systems and artificial intelligence. So I have seen departments in human resources and in marketing in particular and in some respects in finance dwindling. So if you had a
mm,
department of like 10 people, you now have a department of four because you have better systems that are automated and streamlined in order for you to work within the process of your business. So I have seen a huge change in the last couple of years when it comes to that. From my perspective, it's helping us when it comes to engagement with candidates. Because even if I'm too busy being on the phone all the time or dealing with my business and growing it, there's still an automated process where I am connecting with the candidate via email, via text, by
yeah.
using AI and creating it as if it was me. And so we still keep in touch with our candidates from that other perspective as well too. But
Mm,
I don't know if this answer is good or bad for people listening to this, but I guess my biggest advice would be is pay attention to the technology and see how you can use it to your advantage. into whatever industry that you're heading into as well too, because a lot of the people that don't know systems and technology are going to be left behind. That's for sure. And we're starting to see that already.
Yeah, I think there's always a question whether, even with artificial intelligence, it's not like a buzzword anymore. People are
No,
using that in their projects and succeeding with it. And I think there's always like a bit of a scare in the air about like, should people be scared of AI taking away their jobs or should they not? But I think it all comes down to how effectively you can use it in order to enhance candidate experiences in this case rather than, replacing it with some robot. But yeah,
exactly. Exactly. It's not, you know what, the word shouldn't be scared. It should be adjusting. Adjust. How do I adjust? So rather than being scared and like not knowing what to do is, okay, how do I adjust? How do I make that? How do I use that to my advantage? What can I learn
mm,
from it? And because AI is kind of like when the internet came out back in the 90s, a lot of people that dismissed it lost a lot of money and didn't progress. But the ones that actually embraced it ended up developing and growing their businesses from it. So AI is a revolutionary thing as well too, and it's not just AI. There's a lot of other things too. There's quantum computing. There's a lot of things coming ahead as well that are really gonna scare us. And it's
yeah,
okay. It's just about adjusting and developing the talents that we have. So that would be my biggest advice because I'm seeing it in the marketplace. The candidates that are being left behind are the ones that are not adjusting and progressing, and the ones that are doing well and doing better, they're continuously getting certifications or learning a new system right away. So yeah, keep adjusting, keep learning. Don't be afraid. We are in this earth for a very short period of time, so enjoy it and add as much value as you can.
yeah, love it. Love that approach. Thank you again for sharing all of your insights on the podcast today. I'm excited for the audience to even read your article, which is full of value. Like, imagine if you've provided so much value in this 15-minute podcast, there's a lot more in the article to come. So please make sure to give that a read. The link in the description is available. So, yeah, thank you again, Gonzalo, for taking some time out and being on the 31 Media podcast today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you again for your time.